Some news from around the NFL. One of our old buddies, John Dorsey, back doing what he does best. He is a senior talent evaluator with the Detroit Lions, something he was really good at. Guessing they're going to keep him away from the salary cap as well as hiring coaches, but go pick our players and tell us how to build a winner. He has his fingerprints all over the Browns and the Chiefs. This is a pretty good hire from a talent evaluation standpoint for the Lions.
Yeah, Dave, just as you were saying, pretty good at what he did in evaluating talent. I can hear Browns fans screaming, "What about Antonio Callaway? What about Austin Corbett?" Listen, every GM, you can find a couple of those picks. I think overall, drafting Mayfield, which, okay, you had the number one pick overall, I get it, but you still had to identify the right quarterback, and I think to some extent they have still. The Kareem Hunt pick in getting rid of Kaiser for Demarius Randall at the time, I thought was a good move. But you're right. When he was in Kansas City and he left there, a lot of people in Kansas City said, this guy doesn't communicate well as a guy who runs in a complete front office. His salary cap work wasn't great. I think here you can say, didn't exactly identify the next head coach, did he? And do that in good fashion. But I think picking players is what he does best. And I think it'll be a good move for them to put him in the position that they're going to put him in.
Important to note, he's the guy that traded up to draft Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, that, he had that one pretty much nailed.
Yeah, I mean, there was always a question in Kansas City, especially when it came to that quarterback position, whether Andy Reid was the driving force or not. But let's just say he was part of the group then that decided that Patrick Mahomes was going to be a special player, and that clearly has happened. Here, he never picked a head coach in Kansas City. Andy Reid was hired, and about a week later, Dorsey was brought onto the team after Andy Reid was already in place. So, that was the one thing I thought when he was convinced that Freddie Kitchens was the guy. I was curious, like, well, is he really? I mean, I thought this was a good hire, a good situation for a head coach to walk into. And not that I would have identified Kevin Stefanski. I'm not pretending that for a minute. That's Paul DePodesta's realm there. But I think that this job looked better than Freddie Kitchens to me. I don't know why they felt the need to settle for it. And I think that was, eventually that's what cost Dorsey his time here. He wasn't ready to back off the Freddie Kitchens hire, and I think the Haslams rightly identified it was time to move on.